Hello everybody and welcome to Aaliyah C TV. As you can tell by my title, today's video is super duper personal. It is about my miscarriage from my pregnancy. I will tell you guys about what happened. I decided to make a video about it because it helps me to talk about it and it makes me feel better, and I also feel like a lot of women silently go through miscarriages and they don't ever talk about it, and I would like to be a voice for those women, and maybe this might help some of you out as well, as it's helping me. So stay tuned. I was pregnant January 20th 2020. It was my annual checkup, and I was kind of expecting it because I missed my period, and I've been having crazy mood swings and crying and just acting crazy. And I had literally the day before told my boyfriend, I was like, I think I feel like a crazy person because my emotions were just everywhere. So I go to the doctor and he tells me, well, before we start, I say, I kind of feel like I might be pregnant, so can we start off with the pregnancy test? So I go pee and he comes back, the doctor comes back, he's just smiling ear to ear, and I'm just like, what? And he was like, not only are you pregnant, but you're a strong 5 weeks pregnant. So from then, I was like shocked, but I was very excited. Like I had tears of joy coming down my face. I was like sweating profusely under my armpits. I was just happy, you know. It was a good feeling. It wasn't a planned pregnancy, but as soon as I found out I was pregnant, me and my boyfriend started planning everything. We had started saving money weekly. We had started thinking about names. We had started changing our living arrangements around because he, of course, doesn't live here. He lives back home. So it was just a lot like we were preparing to do for this baby in the short amount of time that we had to prepare for the baby. I had found this pre-pregnancy center. It's like an advice space, and they give classes for the parents, and they also give classes for the mom up in like for every trimester up until she has the baby. And there's aftercare and postpartum stuff that they do for the babies as well. So they also give free sonograms. So I went in and I got my first free sonogram when I was at the time I was 7 weeks, and the lady was like, are you sure you're 7 weeks? She was like, because you're measuring to be 6. And I was like, yeah, I'm 7 according to my last period or whatever. And then she was like, well, it's showing that you're 6. I said, okay. And I didn't think anything of it because I saw the baby's heartbeat, I saw my yolk sac. He was probably like, he or she was like a little smaller than an olive at the time, and I saw the heartbeat, so I was happy. Like I didn't need to know anything else. I knew there was a heartbeat, so I wasn't tripping. So I came back a second time. It was my 8th week of pregnancy, and I got another sonogram because I wanted to do a follow-up because the baby was measuring smaller than it was supposed to the first time. And this time I had a different lady that was doing the sonogram, and she measured me again, and she was like, I see that you're showing to be you're measuring again to be 6 weeks. And I said, well, I'm 8 weeks, so I should be, you know, at that same time, that whatever length that's supposed to be. And then I let her know, because I let the last lady know, and my doctor had told me this, that my uterus is tilted, so that can skew the results that you get from the sonogram whenever they do the sonogram on your belly and not a vaginal one. So I said, well, maybe it's the angle of my uterus because, you know, it's slanted or whatever. And she's like, yeah, that could be it. And I got the vibe from her that she didn't want to assume anything was wrong, but she was like, so when's your next doctor's appointment? And I said, it's February 25th. And she said, okay, well, we're just gonna follow up with you and see how things are then. I was like, okay. Then again, I left happy, not worried about anything, even though the baby was still measuring to be 6 weeks when I should have been measuring to be 8. At that appointment, I did not see the heartbeat like I did last time, but I figured, again, it was because of the positioning of my uterus, so I wasn't worried about it. So then comes my 10-week appointment where I go back to the doctor, and I have my sonogram, and they decided to give me a vaginal sonogram instead of the normal stomach one because they know how my uterus sits. So the sonogram tech is in there, and it's like immediately after she takes her first few clicks on the keyboard, she was like, you're 10 weeks, right? And I was like, yeah. She was like squinting at the screen. I'm just looking like, she's like, you're measuring to be 6. And I was like, okay. And I'm just sitting there still not worried because I'm a very positive person. And then she was like, I'm not seeing anything. I said, what do you mean? She's like, I'm not seeing a heartbeat. And I'm still just like, well, you know, my uterus is tilted, so you want to check it. You might want to check again. So she does another ultrasound. Still no heartbeat. Baby's still measuring at 0.37 centimeters, and at this point of 10 weeks it should be 5 centimeters. She was like, the baby is not growing anymore. And I was just like, can you check again? Like, I literally was like not here. I wasn't trying to hear that. Like, I kept having her check. She checked for me at least 5 times, and I kept getting the same response from her, which was what I did not want to hear. So she's like, well, let me go check in with the doctor, and then I'll be right back. So she goes and gets the doctor, and they talk for a while. She was gone for a minute, at least like 10 minutes. So then she comes back, and she was like, I'm sorry, but the baby has stopped growing. The baby should be way bigger than he is now. I would see way more development of the head, hands, feet, and I'm not seeing it. It looks like the baby has stopped growing at 6 weeks. And after she said that, I just went numb. I couldn't hear anything. Like, I just didn't really want to believe what she was telling me. So she was like, she's like, well, go ahead and put on your clothes so we can go to the doctor's office. And I was like, I need a second. So I'm just on the table, like, fucking bawling my eyes out. Like, I'm crying so hard, like I'm wheezing. So then I give myself a few minutes to cry. And then I put my clothes back on and I go into the doctor's office. And he delivers the same news. And once again, while he's talking, I hear nothing. I can't hear anything. So then he's going through the different options that I have. He was like, you can either take a pill that will make your uterus contract and you'll basically, you know, the baby will pass that way. Or you can do a surgery, I forgot the technical name for it. And we'll basically, you know, get everything out of the womb from the baby and the tissues and things like that. Or you can just pass the baby naturally. I personally do not trust the medical system to put me under anesthesia and go inside of my womb, and because I don't know what they're going to take. So I told him that I just want to do the natural method and let the baby pass on its own. And I didn't want to do the pill because I don't know the long-term effects of that or how it could affect me when I'm ready to have another baby. So I decided to go that route. It's really tough. Like at first when like I told you guys, I was in denial. Like I was not trying to hear that. I'm a very positive person, so I didn't want to hear that at all. I wasn't accepting it. And the crazy thing is I always have deja vu. I always have, I don't want to call them visions because I only have them pertaining to myself. I can't do this for other people, but I'll have a dream or a thought and it happens all the time. Like for example, 2 days before my appointment, I had a thought, a dream, the doctor telling me that he did not hear a heartbeat. And it was the same, he had on the same clothes, he said it in the same tone, like everything was the same. But just like I just told you guys, I'm positive, so I dismissed that thought. I didn't want to believe it. So I already internally kind of knew it was coming. I just didn't want to accept it. So yeah. Thankfully, I have a doula and she's very knowledgeable in natural methods of doing things when it comes to this type of situation. And a miscarriage, which is when your baby stops growing or it dies spontaneously during the very early stages of your pregnancy, usually between 5 to 12 weeks marks is when it's called a miscarriage. What she's able to do for me was provide me with black and blue cohosh. It's a herb that you use to pass your baby naturally. It's actually what was used back in the slave trade days when the young girls were molested by the slave masters. The older women on the plantation would make this tea to help them abort whatever child was there, you know, through the rape. Native Americans do this practice as well, and this is what I'm going to decide to go with because I do not want to have a surgery or take the pill that the hospital would provide. So one of the hardest parts of the miscarriage that I had to do was calling my boyfriend to let him know that the baby did not make it. It was really hard for me because he's been through a lot of loss himself. Like, he's lost his mother. He recently lost his brother. Like, his brother was murdered, taken from the family. So the last thing I wanted to do was call him and tell him that the baby didn't make it. So I called him, I let him know, and he took it. Like, I know he was trying to be strong for me, and I feel like we both are handling it differently because the way he grieves is to like keep moving, to go to work. I'm very emotional, so I like to process things and like work through them. But that was hard, really hard. I didn't want to tell him, but I had to. And then of course I had to tell all my family and friends, which was hard too, because it's like I was just sharing this exciting news and now I had to come with this horrific news that the baby did not make it. So that was really tough. So how do I plan to deal with it? What I plan to do is go to my therapist so I can get, grieving practices and things that I can do. I plan on praying and asking for clarity, and through meditation I will receive that clarity. My doula told me that she's very smart and very spiritual, and she told me, she was like, I don't know how spiritual you are, but prayer is where you ask and meditation is where you receive. I pray all the time. I pray like 3 to 4 times a day, but I never really meditate because it's hard to quiet my mind. But what I have been doing is doing guided meditation, and that helps because it's like somebody, walking me through it, telling me, breathe here, think about this now, and that just helps quiet the mind when I have a guided meditation. And also for people that can't afford a therapist, a lot of companies have EPA, which is employee assistance, where they can provide a grievance counselor. They give up to like 5 sessions, but if you need more, just say, something else is wrong, that way you can get 5 more sessions for that. Whatever you need, a lot of companies have that resource. But whatever you do, do not run away from the reality of, your child is gone. Initially, when I found out, like, I was gonna go back to work that same day, but my boyfriend and my mom were like, no, you need to go home. And I realized, okay, I'm already trying to run away from this. So it's important that you face it and that you don't sit in the dark spaces of your mind, and that you just try to be very observant and mindful of your energies and people around you. You want to always be feeling, loved or in a good space. Like, I'm so grateful for my family, because my boyfriend literally left work when he got off, drove from Mississippi to Little Rock to change tires on his car, then he drove to Kansas. Like, he literally was up for 24 hours to come see me for a day because he had to go back to work. And then after he left, my mom and my sisters came and and just gave me some support. So if you have family you're close with, reach out to them, and they'll be there to hold you. And if you don't have family, reach out to a friend, a close church, somebody you like. It's not good to be alone when you first find out. I also didn't want to be around anybody except for my boyfriend the first few days when I found out. And thankfully he was able to come. But I advise you to just let people love on you and take care of you. Don't be alone, because that increases the chances of depression, sleeping a lot, and things like that. Because I probably stayed in the bed for like a whole 2 days after. So yeah, you guys, that is that. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this helps someone, because I'd seen a video that really helped me, and I just feel like it's important to be a voice for women that are going through this silently. And I chose not to be a victim, but to be a voice, someone, of strength. I don't want to be a victim to miscarriage, because I'm not. I feel like this does not stop my chances of having a baby. I'll have multiple babies when the time is right. I just wanted to share with you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and love y'all. Bye.